College recruitment starts with you. Welcome back, squad. This is your athletic scholarship coach, Kito Delgado, and you are listening to another episode of Full Ride, powered by URECRUITU. If this is your first time checking us out, I welcome you, and I hope it's not your last. And for all of our returning listeners, I thank you for your continued support. And but for all those who don't know what we're all about, our mission is very simple. We want to educate, we want to equip, and we want to empower our families. And the way we do so is by providing you with winning plays that will enable you to take full control of the college recruitment process, because it is a process that at times can be frustrating, daunting, overwhelming, time-consuming, expensive. And we just want to help you really just kind of take a deep breath and just better understand the process. It's really that simple. We can't guarantee you a scholarship, but we do believe that with the right attitude, with ability, clearly by our student athletes, with the right grades, with all the tools that are available to you today, if you have that right attitude, if you have the ability, if you have the grades, and then you apply a game plan, there's no reason why you can't receive some level of financial aid in the form of an athletic scholarship to college. That's our goal. It's really simple, straightforward. So I'm really happy that you're tuning in. And normally I'm the only one doing the episode. I usually fly solo, but today I have joining me a current college student athlete, and her name is Aubrey Conti, and she is a senior lacrosse player at Quinnipiac University. And Aubrey is, a two-time MAC all-conference academic team member. She won as a freshman, the Coaches Award for, which is all about being dedicated and committed to the program. So she won that award as a freshman. She's a starter for the team. So she not only excels in the classroom, but she's also excelling, on the field of play. And I wanted to bring on Aubrey, and I'm so glad that she joined me because she's a current student athlete who not too long ago was sitting in your shoes, right? And she just outlined some of the strategies that her and her family went through to get recruited and to earn an athletic scholarship that I'm assuming that you want as a family as well. She outlined some mistakes that you definitely want to avoid. And she just really also peels back the curtain on the day-to-day life of a current Division I student athlete. So I know you're going to really learn a lot from her, and I'm so glad that she took the time to join me. And I just want to, again, thank you personally, Aubrey. Hopefully you're listening. I did email you the link. I hope you're listening. I hope you're training hard, and you and your teammates have your best season yet, particularly because this is Aubrey's last year. So you want to wish her and her team, the Bobcats, you want to wish them all well. But before we get to Aubrey, just allow me to make a couple of announcements. You can follow us on social media, on Instagram and Twitter. URECRUITU, URECRUITU, and then of course you can like our Facebook page, URECRUITU. And lastly, though, a couple weeks back, I mentioned we are in the process of putting together a premium online course offering. We're calling it the RecruitU Academy. And basically, when you log in, you're going to have a course offering called Jumpstart College Recruitment. Because the number one question I'm often asked is, how do I start? And it's such a broad question, but how do I start? And we figured, you know what, instead of helping one family at a time, why don't we take this thing and really help multiple families at once, right? So we're in the process of creating this academy. And within the academy, you're going to have probably over 30 videos, ranging in length between 5 probably to 15, 20 minutes at the most. But there's going to be videos, there are going to be worksheets, there are going to be email templates, This is going to be more in-depth detail and strategies on really how to first gain, but then keep the attention of college coaches, because a big part of recruitment is really just developing ongoing relationships with college coaches while building up your pipeline. Pipeline meaning you don't want to only communicate with one or two programs. You really want to have 15, 20 schools, a minimum 10 schools that are engaging and actively recruiting you, so that when you are ready to make a decision, you really have choices. So that's what the Jumpstart College Recruitment Academy is going to be all about, the online course offering. So I really want you to do, because we're probably going to launch it in the next month or so at the most. In the show notes, in the description of the show, you'll see a link. I think it says, "Do you want to play in college?" Click on that link, whether you're a student athlete or you're a parent. Drop us your email address, and then that way we can email you when the show is launched. But you definitely want to do that. But I've talked long enough. I really want to get to my my chat with Aubrey, and I hope you guys enjoy and it's helpful. Have a good one. Aubrey, how you doing today?
Hi, good. How are you doing, Kito?
I'm doing really well. Just want to again thank you for taking some time out of your day to really help out our student athletes and their parents. So why don't you take a few moments to briefly introduce yourself, state where you're from, what school you go to, what year, and then most importantly, what sport you play.
Yeah, so my name's Aubrey Conti. I'm going to be a senior at Quinnipiac University this year. I play women's lacrosse. Graduated from Shaker High School from Latham, New York.
Awesome. And what position do you play for Quinnipiac?
Big defense.
That's right. You're a defensive stopper. So why don't you take a few moments and just walk us through your recruiting process. Obviously, we all have our own different journey, but you obviously got to the Division I level. So it's great if you can just kind of quickly, just high level in a way, share, some your recruiting process, how that went for you, your experiences.
Yeah, so I was one of the last people on my travel team to get recruited, because mainly everyone went to top 10 D1 schools. And I wasn't looking to play in one of those top 10 schools, so I was a little later. Mainly just coming out front yourself, communicating with coaches, going to the different play day tournaments and they call it recruiting showcases pretty much. And those are huge, because what you do is you have a band on you if you're recruited, or if you don't, then you have something separate. So the coaches, all the college coaches are there. They know who's recruited. They know who's not recruited yet. They get to take a good look at you. Besides that, also main thing I did was going to a lot of different schools individually, and they'll have a 1 day or a 2 day camp where the coaches and current players put on this little 2 day thing where you'll do drills, you'll play some games, and they get a good look at you there too.
Now that's a good follow-up question I could ask now. So how did you determine because obviously these types of camps, they go on throughout the country. So as for your family, how did you all decide which camps you would attend?
Yeah, so I guess personally you just have to talk before you even decide what schools you're looking at. You individually and as a family need to figure out what part of the country you want to go to, or if you want to stay within a certain radius of your home so your parents can go see you play at school. That was a big decision for me, honestly, and my parents. We wanted my school to be close enough where they could make it to a game and back in 1 day, and they didn't have to fly in or stay in a hotel every time. So that really narrowed it down to about a 3-4 hour radius around my house. So then we were looking at schools around there and decided what specific schools I would want to go to for those 1 or 2 day camps.
Great. And now you mentioned it earlier how you said a lot of your teammates on your travel team, they all went to certain schools, and you were one of the last ones to be recruited. So can you talk about why is it that you didn't, what was your obviously distance from your home, but what other factors played into your decision? So distance, clearly, but then beyond that,
Hmm.
were there other factors that you decide? Is there a reason why you didn't want to play at those top 10 schools?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess you also have to consider yourself when going through this whole process, how much of a role you want the split to be between academics and athletics. That's super important. And that's something up front that the coach always wants to know. Because if you're looking for more of a academic, not so much of an athletic commitment, is you're going to go for the more D2, D3 school or at a lower rung in the Division One. Because if you're up at one of those top schools, top 10 schools in a Division One program, you're going every day. Like every single decision you make is based off your team and the whole lifestyle. And I guess you just have to decide what kind of commitment you want to put into the whole program. So that's one thing I had to really tell myself and consider myself how much commitment I wanted to give to the sport, because it's a lot. And that's something I don't think a lot of people really understand going into this whole process in the first place, how much of a commitment it is and how much you're willing to give up.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, just so you guys know, I don't want to embarrass Aubrey, but Aubrey is a two-time MAC All Academic team member the last 2 years. So clearly, Aubrey, which it should be the case, the word student comes before athlete for a reason. And Aubrey
Yeah.
makes a great point. Even if you can play at that elite level, you really have to just determine just for yourself, how much sacrifice are you willing to put to your academics to be at that Division 1 level? Now, clearly, you still can obviously excel, but just understand, just really the commitment. As a matter of fact, since we do have a Division 1 athlete, Aubrey, can you just talk about and obviously it's different from sport to sport, but just give us a rough idea of, let's say in season, right? So in season, can you just describe your typical day in the life of Division 1 women's lacrosse player?
Oh yeah. In a day in the life, what you're gonna do? Wake up probably 6 a.m. Have practice. Do something. You're gonna go into prep before any type of practice. You gotta go in early, get your stretches in, meet with the trainers, check up on everything. That'll take
So
like an hour, and then you have your. Oh, what were you saying?
no, I was going to cut you off because I wanted to really stress that. So practice may start at 6, but ideally,
Oh
or
yeah,
7 even.
yeah,
What
yeah,
time are you really showing up to get ready for practice?
yeah. So let's say the practice starts at 7, because that's personally my practice time. I'm out of bed by 5:45. I'm in the gym by 6. So you got to give yourself so much time before and after, especially because recovery is huge.
Yep.
So even though your practice block may be 7 to 10, you're in there 6 to 11.
That's a good point. Okay, so keep going. So 6 to 11, you got your
Yeah,
practice
have your
or
practice
practice
recovery. You're all
time.
set.
Yep.
You're gonna shower quick right there. You don't go home. You don't go back to your room. It's all in the locker room. You do that. You get lunch with your teammates. You're really with your teammates the whole day, which honestly is something I love about it. You're with these girls all the time. You're always talking, whatever sport it is. And then you get your classes in. You're with them, most of your teammates for a lot of your classes, first couple of years. And then I personally am friends with a lot of my teammates on the team. So we all got dinner together, and then you're going to bed early to get a good rest in for the next day, 'cause that's huge.
Hmm. That's awesome. So it really is, so on one hand, yes, it's a big time commitment, but I will say, and guess obviously I love, playing college sports. I played as
Hmm.
well as families know listening. So don't get me wrong, or not, but we just want to give you a reality check that it is a full-time commitment. Some will call it a job, and you really are around your teammates a lot all the time. What's one thing though? Because obviously you've had some success. You're going into your senior year.
Mhm.
Congratulations! You made all academic team, but from a just excuse me, a performance standpoint, or even just an adjustment going off to college, right? So maybe we have a family whose child is already committed to attend their school coming up this year,
Mhm.
or they're a recruit. But this give us an idea of like maybe one thing you wish you had known about playing college athletics that you know now, that you didn't
Yeah.
know, as a recruited athlete. What are some, insight you can share?
I would say that college sports compared to any high school or travel team you're on, it's a whole nother level and a whole nother game. Speed of play is higher. People are going to be faster, stronger than you. Going into college, the best and most important thing you can do is just be in the best shape of your life. Really just
Mm,
go in there as fast as you personally can be, as strong as you can be, and ready just to adjust to the speed of play, honestly. Because everyone there has already had a year or two or three, and they're at this completely other spot in their personal career that you just have to be willing and able to adjust to.
I love that answer, and I'm so glad you gave it because I can even share my own personal narrative of coming from a very small school. I was the best player on my team, the best player in the conference, and then I went to school and like I didn't have to. I mean, put it this way: in high school, I didn't have to work honestly that hard to be the best player on my team or in the conference. And then when I
Yep.
got to school, I carried a lot of bad habits. I didn't like you mentioned earlier. You got to get to the gym early before practice to stretch and get loose, and then afterwards you got to do all that maintenance. Well, I didn't. I never did any of that. So I was actually like just really like hurt, injured, not in good shape. Really my entire freshman year, and it put me behind the eight ball so much. So that's great advice Aubrey just gave us, families, because you really, you got to be able to control the controllable. You can't control the depth chart. The playbook, a lot of times it's a new system. You can't control how fast, other people are, how more experienced they are, how much stronger they are. You can't control any of that. But the one thing you can control, going into your freshman year is just making sure you are physically prepared so that that's not something that's holding you back. You can then focus on, learning the
The other
playbook
thing.
and more strategy. But if you're not in shape, if you're not strong, if you're not where you need to be, you're already behind the eight ball. So that's just really sound advice. So can you talk about now? Obviously, we talked a little bit about what to do once you are there. Obviously, we talked about the day in the life. We talked about once you sign and you got to get prepared to show up for camp. Can you talk about now our families? What are some things that you did besides playing travel lacrosse? What are things that you did as a family to really take control of the recruiting process?
Yeah. So, super important to go directly to schools that you think that you can not only excel in athletics but also academics. I think a huge thing for my family was not basing my decision off of one specific thing, as in just basing the decision off of, oh, I really like this school, or this coach is great, or this program seems like it's doing well. You really got to think of the whole package, because under all of the athletics and the academics, you have to be happy wherever you go. And so I think that's something really important. Something from my experience is that my coach has been rotated. I've had a couple different coaches in college, a different one that recruited me to my freshman year to my sophomore year. And you just got to be able to adapt and know that you shouldn't have just made this decision on your coach, because if they change, you got to still love the school, you got to love your teammates, and um, just everything about wherever you're at.
That's another great point made by Aubrey, because like it's funny you said it because I actually a couple of episodes back, I interviewed an individual, Damon Patterson, the second, at who played football at Kansas University, and he played for three coaches in college. I played for three coach. I'm talking about head coaches here too. I played for three different
Yep.
head coaches in college. Now you're at multiple coaches, and it's funny when I first start to talk with families, and because part of what I do is I'll break down, like, at least in my opinion, some of the factors that should play into your decision. Like you mentioned earlier, academics, distance from home, can you do internships in the off season like you did? I mean, we talked on offline before getting on. You just finished an internship this summer, but I always tell them, listen, your decision. Yes, the coach is recruiting you, but the percentage that you give to your decision based off of the coach has to be very small, because like you said, they can change. If it's a position coach that's recruiting you, well, that position coach can go on to another job at any given time. The head coach can get maybe fired, or they may go on and pursue another opportunity. So you have to make sure, regardless, when you're getting recruited and you're making your decision, you have to ask yourself, and I know it's hard for some parents and athletes to understand this. You have to ask yourself, will I be happy here if I wasn't playing sports? That's, to me. Would you agree with that, Aubrey? Is like, really
100%.
ask, right? Like, sports enhances the experience, but at the end of the day, if sports was not a factor, would you still be happy at your school? So in your case, would you still be happy at Quinnipiac? Obviously, you'd be disappointed if you couldn't play, but you would still be happy based off of the distance from home, the academics, the campus life, the ability to do internships. So I think that's also that's just great information. So you guys are heading into you're going into your senior year. I mean, just to kind of take it away from recruiting, a little bit more about you. Do you have any goals personally and as a team that you want to accomplish for this year?
Yeah, so I want to do better than we've done in the past as a team, definitely. We've been getting better every year, and hopefully these incoming freshmen will only add to our team and hopefully get us to the next level. I'm hoping to see a MAC championship in my future.
Awesome. Well, we wish you all the best of luck here at URECRUITU. And before we go, we just want to give you the opportunity to really give our families, that student athlete. And obviously there's so much you can talk about when it comes to recruiting and do this, don't do this, but like, just try to drill down. And you can even talk about it for your sport, or you can do, high level, but what's the one winning play? That's right. One winning play you want, you want to have our student athletes and their families work on after listening to your episode, that can help them get to that next step of, obviously, hopefully earning a scholarship to their school of choice.
Yeah, so I would say my one winning play, I know I mentioned this before, but just ask yourself what kind of commitment you want to give, and really base your decision off of that, of where you're going, where you want to play. The most important thing is just to have knowledge and just not make a decision blindsided without having all the facts, knowing what the team is like, what they do on the weekends. Are you going to mesh with them? Do you like the school? Do they have different opportunities for you that align with what you want to do in the future past school? I mean, you don't have to have your whole life planned out, but you got to know maybe your interests and if that's what is going to work for you. Really, you just got to ask yourself, take a step back, look at all the options, talk to your parents, but make sure you individually, no matter what your parents may think, but as the athlete yourself, that you think you're making the right decision.
Absolutely. So I would just add to this, and then we're going to hop off. Again, speaking with Aubrey Conti, she is going into her senior season. She plays defense for Quinnipiac, two-time MAC all-academic team member. So I just want to, again, thank you, Aubrey, for your time today. And again, I would just piggyback what she just said. Is just, it sounds like to me, Aubrey said, like, just make an informed decision. You have so much resources at your fingertips, families, the web. Just go to their website, follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook, follow the coaches on Twitter. You go on your official visits, ask the right questions, but at the end of the day, make an informed decision. And then part two to that is really, it has to be a decision in your best interest. Don't fall in love with, take the ego out. Maybe you can play top top, in Aubrey's words, top 10 team, lacrosse or whatever the sport may be. But is that the right fit for you? So that's great advice. Division II school or lower D1 school, 1AA if you play football. Don't go chasing, the allure of playing, top, big time Division I athletics, because not everybody is cut out for that. So that's great advice, Aubrey. I thank you again. And all my fans out there, we're going to sign off and just remind you, by now my saying, college recruitment starts with you. What steps are you taking today to earn an athletic scholarship tomorrow?
Love it.